Today, I wanted to discuss the concept of being too nice in our relationships, be they with friends, family, colleagues, and in our dating lives. And I wanted to show you very logically why this often leads to heartbreak, to disappointment, to you feeling taken for granted, unseen, and unappreciated. And if you look closely, what you can find is a very similar pattern of the same problems manifesting again and again in all the different aspects of your relationships. So I want to really break it down for you, what it is you're doing, where you're going wrong, and why these problems are occurring. Now, very quick caveat, some people actually are too nice in only one aspect of their lives. So they may find that, for instance, in a work environment, they naturally grasp the different dynamics, the different tensions and the politics in a work setting and can navigate them very, very well and end up getting that promotion and progressing easily, whereas maybe in their dating lives they come from a very different mindset and operate from a different framework. So then their too nice tendencies come out, and the problems that being too nice has start to manifest themselves. Or it can be vice versa. People can have very stable, loving relationships, very fulfilling relationships, but at work they often wonder why they're not seen, why they're not given a promotion, and why they find themselves at the bottom of the so-called ladder. So with that in mind, let's begin. What is being too nice? Too nice at the core is about consistently putting the needs and feelings of others above your own. And this may mean that you agree to do favors for friends when you're actually really tired. It can be something as trivial as you agreeing to watch a movie when you would rather play tennis, or you not voicing your opinion on a certain topic, maybe in a work setting or in a family setting, because you don't want to have any confrontation, you don't want there to be any tension or any conflict, you would rather keep the peace. And so by doing this, the too nice person then operates from a framework whereby they put everybody else's needs and wants as a priority to their own. They effectively reject their personal needs and wants. So if you're sitting here today watching this video, feeling very disappointed, feeling heartbroken, feeling rejected and taken for granted, wondering where you're going wrong, well, the reason you're feeling all of this is because you yourself are taking for granted your feelings, your needs, your wants. You are rejecting yourself, and so this is why others end up rejecting you. And it is from this framework that, almost like clockwork, you will find the exact same patterns, the exact same problems manifesting themselves across all your relationships where you act too nice. So the first problem is that it creates an unbalanced investment in the relationships that you form. When you are the one going out of your way to be nice, to inconvenience yourself, you do favors for everyone else, you are making the majority of the effort. And with your effort comes your investment. So whether you realize it or not, when you invest in something, you start valuing it more. If you invest in other people, you start valuing them more. And unfortunately, the other person may not be making a similar investment in you. There is a relatively well-known effect in psychology called the Ben Franklin effect, and this states that if you want another person to see you positively and to like you, you need to ask them to do a favor for you. So instead of doing a favor for them, if you want that other person to like you, they need to do something for you. Why? Because again, when another person invests in you, they have to justify in their minds that you are worth that effort, that time that they spend on doing whatever favor they need to do for you. So what does this ultimately mean for your relationships? it means that when you are busy being too nice, you are also not creating the space and the opportunity for other people to invest in you, and by that end up valuing you, appreciating you. And nice people do this for two reasons. So the first reason is that people who are habitually very, very nice, they are often uncomfortable with the prospect of receiving. They are uncomfortable with other people doing something for them, with attention being on them and their needs. So they operate from the framework where they are more comfortable giving rather than receiving. And unfortunately, when they do that, they don't create the space for the other person to give in return. So even if you do come across somebody who is also a nice person, if you don't give them the opportunity to give back, you solidify your status quo as the go-to nice person that's always happy to do favors, that's always happy to compromise. And you almost really enable and encourage the other person to see you as this person who is going to be giving all the time. The second problem that two nice people often have is that they continue giving even when they are consistently shown that the other person is not reciprocating in kind. And two nice people often fall into this mindset that, oh, if I just give a little bit more, if I compromise a little bit more, if I just continue being very, very nice and accommodating everybody else's needs, then everybody else is going to start appreciating me, or the other person that I'm trying to impress and win over is finally going to realize how great I am and accept me or love me, or you can fill in the blanks. And unfortunately, this is the equivalent of pouring water into a cracked glass. No matter how much you pour, no matter how much water you give to that glass, the glass will never be full, because the water will keep leaking out. The glass is faulty. In the same way, if you're constantly giving and you're not seeing another person reciprocate, instead of continuing to give to that person, stop giving and find another person who is going to reciprocate. So a key takeaway to note from this is, firstly, you need to ask yourself, am I actually comfortable with receiving? Am I okay with people giving back to me? Am I ultimately creating room for other people to invest in me? Because again, you may be surrounded by really great people, but you're encouraging them to take and to view you as this go-to nice person. And so when you do create that space for other people to give back in kind, which means that, you start voicing your needs. If you want to play tennis, instead of watching that movie, you say to them, hey, I want to play tennis this week, and see if it's okay, if they're willing to play tennis with you this week, and then next week maybe you'll go back to watching a movie, and so on. And when you've done that, when you've created that space, then you start evaluating who is actually willing to engage with you in that space, who is actually willing to give back. And if you're seeing that people are not giving back, then it is time to throw away the faulty glasses in your life. It is time to replace your life with people who are going to reciprocate in kind. The second reason why being too nice often leads to disappointment and rejection and you feeling taken for granted is very much to do with those very faulty glasses, or as we call them in life, takers. People who consistently take, who are quite egotistical and quite selfish. The common assumption is that too nice people attract takers into their lives, and this isn't entirely true, because actually we cross paths with many different types of people as we go through life. The difference is that too nice people enable the selfish takers to stay in their lives. If you are always giving, you are going to make room for somebody who's always taking. Somebody who is used to having their needs and wants prioritized is obviously going to stick around with somebody like you who makes a habit of prioritizing the needs and wants of others. Like a jigsaw puzzle, you're going to fit together. So Too nice people have a higher likelihood than most of being surrounded by the wrong type of people, and it is often why you will see some of the kindest, nicest, most empathetic people coupled up with some of the most selfish, egotistical partners. And if you've ever wondered why, well, wonder no more. This is the reason why they fit together. They've created a dynamic of one person giving 100% and the other person taking 100%. And so to resolve this, I once again ask you to have a look in your life and see very clearly and objectively who is willing to compromise, who is willing to do favors for you, who is willing to invest the time in you as well, who is willing to give back, and only keep those people in your life. The third reason why being too nice often doesn't work is to do with the boredom and the lack of tension that is created in relationships. So it's very fair to say that nice people are very agreeable people. They are willing to compromise on what they want to keep the other person happy, which means that oftentimes other people are not going to really appreciate or see the genuine, authentic you. They will also know very clearly what it is that they're going to be able to get away with in relationships, what they are going to be able to do. So if you are dating a too nice person, you know that ultimately if you push for what you want, the other too nice person is going to concede and let you have your way. And this means that there is a lack of disagreeableness in relationships, and a lack of disagreeableness also means there is a lack of tension, and tension builds attraction. A little bit of tension goes a long way in building desire and passion in a relationship. Disagreements also are very healthy because they can open our eyes to different ways of seeing the world. They can help us grow, they can help us experience new things, they can help challenge our existing perceptions of the world around us. And if you as the too nice person is always compromising and say driving to your partner's house, they may never appreciate how cool your side of town is. And in the same way, if you are always accommodating to the needs of your partner, then after a while, this becomes very predictable, and unfortunately, prolonged predictability breeds boredom in a relationship. That person's going to end up feeling like they are missing some excitement, some challenge. And to be honest, they'll start feeling like they're in a relationship with themselves because they don't really get to see you. They don't get to experience the real you because you're always mirroring back and accommodating to their needs and wants. The penultimate reason that I want to discuss and show you why the too nice approach doesn't work is actually a negative symptom of being too nice in itself, and this is emotional outbursts. Unfortunately, people who are too nice do not state their boundaries, needs, wants, and feelings in present time. Instead, they suppress these to prioritize others. And this approach creates a breeding ground for resentment, frustration, and anger. At first, this can spill out into the odd passive-aggressive comment, or you can find yourself irritated at what is seemingly quite a small thing. But if you suppress these needs, wants, desires of your own for a long time, what starts to happen is that, like an overflowing cup, you become prone to explosive episodes in later life. You may find yourself so angry that you scream at the top of your lungs, you scream the house down. Your hands could be shaking so much you could feel out of control, like you don't know what to do with all this energy. And that energy really is all your suppressed needs and wants coming to the surface, because in one way or another, your needs have to be heard. And what happens when a too nice person has an emotional outburst is that primarily it is met with shock because it is so out of character. People are shocked to witness this. Secondly, instead of focusing on the content or on the need that is being expressed, other people will focus on the delivery. They will start blaming you for being too angry, for raising your voice, for picking a fight over what they may see as something that doesn't justify that kind of strong reaction. And so the discussion focuses on the delivery as opposed to the content of your explosive episode. And thirdly, because too nice people have a higher likelihood than most of being surrounded by takers, when they do have an emotional outburst, they are in effect making their needs and wants center stage. And for takers, that's not really conducive to getting their own needs and wants met. So a taker's priority is getting the limelight focused back on them. So a taker may then end up calling the too nice person crazy, discounting the too nice person's feelings, and doing everything in their power to make sure that the needs and wants that they have are once again prioritized. And it is usually at this point that the too nice person goes one of two ways. Either they conclude that being too nice simply doesn't work and they swing to the other extreme of taking and being selfish to protect themselves from being hurt, to protect themselves from having a similar situation in the future. Or the too nice person feels so misunderstood that they become very depressed, very helpless, and very hopeless, and their needs really are not addressed, they are not met, and they are exacerbated, they are made worse. So if you recognize yourself in that, realize that your emotional outbursts are just a symptom of you not meeting your own needs and wants, and it's absolutely fine for you to have those needs and wants, and that you need to start making room for them. The final reason that being too nice really doesn't lead to the desired outcome in our relationships is to do with poor boundaries. And boundaries really are the pillars of our self-esteem. They are there to protect us from inappropriate behavior and to ensure that we are living in alignment to our values. They are so important. I have a whole separate video on this topic, but for today, I want you to understand that too nice people, all of them, without exception, have a problem putting down boundaries. They may have a problem putting down boundaries because they inherently fear conflict and confrontation. They want to make sure that they keep the peace, that there is no argument or tension in their relationship. Or they may have a problem putting down boundaries because of fear. They fear not being accepted, they fear not being loved, not being liked, they fear rejection. And those feelings of fear, those feelings of potential rejection or potential confrontation hinder them from putting down their boundaries, from voicing their needs and wants. And so in order to protect yourself from people taking advantage of you, from feeling unappreciated, in order to protect yourself from unhealthy emotional outbursts that make your mental and physical well-being suffer, you need to deal with this fear in order to be able to put down boundaries. To conclude the video, things you can start doing for yourself today: you can start making room for other people to invest in you. You can start ridding your life of people who you have now seen and observed not reciprocating in kind, not giving back. You can start voicing your needs and wants so that they are met, so you do not feel this consistent resentment stirring in yourself so that you do not experience emotional outbursts, and you can start by exploring why it is you are too nice. What is the fear behind your too nice tendencies, so that ultimately you can start putting down boundaries for yourself. If you found this video helpful, do let me know below in the comment section. Please click like, and it would absolutely mean the world to me if you subscribe to my channel. I will be releasing more videos on how to put down boundaries, how to build your self-esteem, how to build your confidence, and ultimately live the kind of life that you want. Until next time, Lisa.